Ain't nobody want to drive 45 minutes to go to a beige room for a Zoom call that they could have ignored at home. That's why downtowns are empty, but that's about to change, and that's cool. The greatest action movie of all time? Well, that's been crowned. Don't worry about that. I'll tell you what it is. And it proves to me that America still values explosions over good storytelling, and I think that's a win. God bless the USA. Thank you for subscribing to the podcast. Thank you for being a part of @Bud Ford Comedy. My name is Bud like the beer, Ford like the truck, and you know dudes will ignore a broken limb forever just to avoid seeing somebody. You think we're about to schedule feelings appointments? Downtown Denver is on sale now. Not a coupon sale, not no cheesy manager sale, not a we're under new management sale. This is please take this building now before pigeons claim it as a sovereign nation sale. I don't know that we've had one of those, and I think the marketing is going to be a bit of a struggle. Here's the deal. A developer showed up and he was like, you know what? These office towers down here are a disaster. I'm going to buy one. He bought it for $5 million. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're like, that's a lot of money, bud. I don't have $5 million. I agree, because I don't either. However, while that sounds expensive, keep in mind that some years ago, the other owner, the guy before him, paid $200 million for that building. That's not depreciation. That is a financial crime scene. Who can write off that kind of money? What businesses operate with that kind of excess capital? How bad do things have to get before somebody says, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to sell this skyscraper for the price of a Buc-ee's and a medium-sized yacht. Now, this guy might be onto something, turning downtowns into places people want to be again, renovating those office buildings. Nobody wants to commute down there anymore. Thank you, COVID, because we all discovered, I can sit at home and not even wear pants and do email. Why would I want to go into a building? And after corporate America spent all that money building all of these incredible buildings in all of these downtowns and creating this sort of urban sprawl. Everybody runs from downtown. And now you're like, nobody wants to come down here. Nobody wants to sit under fluorescent lights in a cubicle anymore and pretend to look busy. We can do that from the house. We can answer emails on our patio. We can have our dogs sitting with us during conference calls. We can mute Zooms. We can put the BRB thing up so that we can air fry some mozzarella sticks. Because I eat at noon. It's not my fault that you scheduled a meeting in the middle of my dinner time. That's on you. People aren't rushing to get back downtown for synergy. That's the word we always use for it, which when you use that in a meeting, your salary should be lowered. These downtowns are struggling. Buildings are empty. They're closing businesses everywhere you turn. There's only usually one or two guys down there. One is vaping aggressively right outside the Walgreens, so you know what he's doing. The other one, I don't know. He's usually sitting in a wheelchair about this time begging for money. But not after 6 p.m., because if you go to most downtowns after 6 p.m., it sort of looks like humanity got raptured, right? Except for the TGI Fridays that mysteriously still stays open. No one knows why. But this developer's idea actually really sounds smart. You take all these buildings, you get that office feel out of them, you turn them into apartments and condos. You have different sizes and they cost different amounts of money, right? So instead of trying to entice, or rather force, an accountant back into a cubicle again, deal with parking and all that, look at this as the future. We rebuild the whole building from the ground up. People want walkable cities. They want to walk downstairs and grab coffee. They want to go to a restaurant. I'm telling you, I lived in downtown Nashville at a grocery store at the bottom of the building I lived in. So I didn't need to stock food anymore. I could just go there. I'm like, oh, I want a steak. Let me go downstairs and get it. Psst, put a little salt on it. Let's cook. That kind of thing. It was awesome. Being downtown in Nashville is wonderful. Also lived downtown in Tulsa. Bought me a condo downtown. I love downtown atmospheres. I like downtown Tulsa, but It's not terribly busy like downtown Nashville, but of course that's a different gimmick, isn't it? I'm not much of a country dude. I like going to malls. I like shopping. I like cities. I like to do my exercise in downtowns. I love to catch one of those Lime scooters, which I know everybody hates, but when you live downtown on a Sunday morning, it looks like a bomb went off. There's nobody down there. So you could hop on these things and just ride around. Most Sundays during that time were costing me about $30 because I was hopping on that Lime scooter and I was riding. And if that one would go dead on a battery, I'd hop on another one and ride it. I mean, I was going all over the place. It was a good time. My buddy Darren and I, which, by the way, happy birthday, Darren. It's his birthday today. Missed that guy. But he and I used to talk about the exact same stuff. He was in this commercial real estate game because he was super smart and sharp with stuff like that. And we were talking about how the cities like downtown Charleston and Charlotte, all of these buildings were empty thanks to COVID, right? They had to be repurposed. And he and I both agreed we should turn those buildings into fantastic living spaces because when you bring people, everything else will return to downtown and we can get rid of some of the decay and people will take pride in it like they did in Nashville. There's something about rebuilding a downtown into an actual neighborhood. It makes everybody feel like all of a sudden we're not a corporate parking lot. For years, everything in downtown was designed around office workers going into the office, sitting around, hating their life. That was kind of the drill. That's what everything was, right? Everything closed at 4:30, downtown's quiet, feels like you got into one of those government simulations or a movie set where they're done filming for the day. Nobody there. That one CVS employee looks like this. Thanks for coming. Does that weird blinking pattern. It makes me nervous. There's still a sandwich shop or a steak nugget shop in downtown Tulsa that no one's ever eat at, but it's still there all the time. In fact, I'm pretty sure the last time a customer besides me was in there, it was Obama's first term. It's been a minute. The suburbs exploded because, right, people wanted life. They wanted to get into these areas where they could have their restaurants, their parks, their housing, their communities, their churches, all in the same place. And now developers are like, maybe, just maybe, we all don't want to live in an Excel spreadsheet. Maybe we want to sprawl out a little bit. Maybe we want to enjoy downtown, these buildings. Think about what you could do with them. You could put these huge solid windows, big, tall, convert enough of these in enough downtowns, and it becomes alive again. And like I said, all those coffee shops return. Comedy clubs return, and that's what I get interested in because I like nightlife downtown. And I like comedy clubs. I like it when we don't use the luxury towers for people selling software subscriptions and scamming old folks out of money. I like when we can use it for creative energy. We can drink coffee and write books and create movies. That's cool. Downtowns need people outside, music, food trucks, restaurants, street lights, some dude on a scooter probably going faster than he should be. That's the way things ought to be. Good news is if these prices keep dropping, comedians might finally be able to afford real estate again, and that's fantastic too. It helps teachers, don't act like it doesn't. Which may be the biggest part of the fantasy, that I can afford real estate again. But I am excited about it, I'm not kidding. Now, let me ask you, have you ever wondered what the greatest action movie of all time was? Well, I can tell you. It's Terminator 2, Judgment Day. Action movies peaked when nobody cared about realism. We know that, right? That was the magic. Today, we don't get these kind of action movies because people want emotional depth now. You got to have a character that has some sort of touching, endearing quality. It's not really what I want. I want things to blow up. I like explosions. I like unimaginable upper body strength. That's the genre. That's what we did in the 80s and 90s. Nobody had to reload guns. Cars exploded immediately. You could see a classic Ford Mercury driving backwards down the interstate at 70 plus miles an hour while shooting a shotgun out the front window. That's cinema. That's the way things ought to be. And police departments only employed bodybuilders. Arnold Schwarzenegger was the king. Are you kidding me? The man delivered dialogue like English was sort of optional. Didn't matter. Still iconic. I'll be back. I'll be back. It's immortal right now, right? I'll be back. Didn't pronounce back, right? So it's not back, it's back. We don't care because you got charisma, bro. Motorcycles, shotguns, explosions, liquid metal robots, yeah, I'll take that. And at one point, the nuclear apocalypse happens and we're all like, hell yeah, that soundtrack, it's the bomb. The movie was awesome. Some of my favorite action movies, though, I gotta tell you, when I go back and I look at some of that stuff from the 90s, they sucked. I love Tango and Cash. I don't know where you were with that. I love that movie. I'll still watch it, but it made no real sense. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. Kurt Russell, Stallone, they both looked like two dads that had been arguing at a Home Depot. And somehow they were the city's most elite detectives. You have to admire that. That was the 90s. Every action movie hero looked at least 47. They weren't real good at relationships. Nobody ever smiled, and every serious scene started with, "You're off the case." That's how you knew that this movie mattered. Steven Seagal movies, those were amazing. Steven Seagal looked like a mall manager or maybe a mall cop at the video game store, probably fighting over coupons. Next thing you know, he defeats 19 armed men and is not even breathing hard when the fight is over. That's the kind of confidence that inspired America. This man can run up and down a ship twice. Not once is he like, no, me, that ain't gonna happen. I walk down the stairs to get in my truck in this trailer. I'm all like, whoo, I need a nap. Not this man. Save humanity, never even cut half of your face off with a credit card. You didn't even see it coming. Denied. Guy gets punched through 3 walls, stands right back up. He's good. Yesterday, I stretched. I was like this, and then I felt something in my back. I was like, that's going to require one of those salon paws. Every 90s villain. European accent, fancy suit, questionable facial hair, private helicopter. Plus, every villain in the 90s owned a warehouse. How's that even possible? Every final battle happened beside chains, random barrel fires. Factories in the 90s were awful. They were terrifying. I'm surprised people survived. The old action heroes, too, they never even looked athletic, bro. They never even thought about working out. Bruce Willis always looked exhausted. Yeah. Come out to the coast, they said. It'll be a good time, they said. Man, I got a really bad headache. You got a cigarette, pal? Harrison Ford, mad about something, been that way since the 70s. Stallone, swollen. It's masculinity. Today's action stars, quit. They have nutritionists and cryotherapy. Not my guys. My guys had cigarettes between takes and survived entirely on vengeance. It's a different era. Action movies were simpler then, too. Good guy, bad guy, one really good line. That's all I needed. That's it. Now, why come every movie's got to have multiverse timelines? I don't need multiverse timelines. Emotional redemption arcs? What even is that? They told me in my drama class, you need to write in an emotional redemption arc. I was like, I don't know that one. I know about Noah's. I don't know about emotional redemption. I didn't go to art college. I came to watch buses explode and airplanes fall out of the sky and buildings fall down. That's what I came here for. Logic ruins action movies. Every guy walks out of the theater watching Roadhouse and suddenly he can fight. He is a master at fighting. No one ever stopped to think, yo, Patrick Swayze has choreography and you have plantar fasciitis, but whatever. And we can argue all day long about the greatest action movie of all time, just like we can do with the greatest sports, the greatest basketball player, the greatest quarterback or whatever. But really, it's about your age, isn't it? It depends entirely on your age. Your favorite action star basically reveals when your dad stopped hugging you. That's the formula. Some people say Die Hard. Some folks will say Predator. Some will say John Wick. That's a great series. Somebody's uncle still thinks Commando is a documentary and that wrestling's real. Movies are supposed to be fun, not realistic. Fun. That's it. I remember my mother in the 80s, I'd be watching, she'd walk in and I'd be watching these movies, bombs exploding everywhere, Rambo running through the city. And she's like, son, you're messed up in the head. I'm like, Mom, everything you watch can happen. Bridges of Madison County. That all happens. It can. Man, this stuff can't happen. That's why I didn't like the movie Saw. I saw that. I've been freaked out for generations because that could happen. Ain't nobody holding a helicopter with one hand. That's not going to happen. I watched robots get melted through prison bars while Guns N' Roses played. That's America. That's why we voted for that movie. I'm down with that. If you're new here, tell you what I do. My name is @BudFordComedy. That's not my name. My name is Bud Ford. Bud like the beer, Ford like the truck. Easy to remember. I'm @BudFordComedy. I read self-improvement articles so you don't have to. It's one of my favorite segments, too. I try to do it every week because every single article starts with, at least in this category, men are struggling emotionally. And dudes reading it are like, probably, but where's my charger? What time do we whittle? Saw this article. It said 5 anxiety symptoms that men always overlook. Men overlook everything. That's our business model. Half of us are driving around with a check engine light on since Allbirds were a thing. It's a long time. Article said men don't always show anxiety the way women do. Truth. Women will say, I'm feeling anxious. Men will buy a new watch and a smoker grill the size of a Honda Civic. He's an emotionally unavailable pitmaster, and he's not in therapy, but he is spending 14 hours perfecting brisket temperatures. That's what's happening. Now, they went on to say the first anxiety symptom is usually irritability. Have you been around dudes lately? A man will lose an email password and act like the government collapsed. That's how we do. That's why Home Depot at 8 a.m. is like a support group for furious dads. Nobody in there's happy. Everybody's walking around. And the people at Home Depot know. People are all like, I swear to the Almighty if somebody else asks me if I need help. Second symptom is trouble sleeping. Men go to bed physically exhausted. But mentally, well, that's when we relive every embarrassing moment since 1997. Wake up about 3:12 a.m. Suddenly, you're remembering a conversation from middle school. Your brain just goes haywire. Yes, Tom Vaughn owes me a quarter since 3rd grade. We can revisit that forever, all night. I'm like, just stop. Let a man sleep. Third symptom, well, this one's for real. This is overworking because men will absolutely work themselves into the earth before they admit they're overwhelmed. This week is an interesting week because I'm getting ready to go to Tulsa and work with some weather stuff, and I'm trying to put all this stuff together because I'm in classes, and the classes are 16 weeks that they've put into 5 weeks. So I'm working 7 days around the clock. I'm just wore out. I'm not going to admit that. Certainly not going to admit it through feeling conversations. I'm just going to get extremely productive, that's all. A dude can be one emotional setback from a collapse and still volunteer to reorganize your garage. That's how we do. That's why all the sheds in America like mine usually have one dude in them silently contemplating life, like my uncle used to call the garage his 40%. Usually standing next to him, some extension cords and some saw blades for a saw that you don't have anymore. Fourth symptom is withdrawing socially for men. So when we get over 35, like, we just turn into, nah, I'm good. Like, we don't do anything anymore. Your buddy's like, hey, man, let's go over to the mall. No, thanks. I already got my pants off for the evening. It's 3:30 in the afternoon, you understand. Maybe it's peace, maturity. Maybe it's just lower back awareness. I don't know. Finally, physical symptoms, right? The article says anxiety can show up with men. We're talking about headaches, tight chest, fatigue. Men hit 40 and every body sensation, as you know, if you're a dude. If you're not, let me tell you, ma'am, here's what's happening. After 40, everything that happens in our body, we're like, well, this is how we die. Right here, this is the end. Pull a muscle because I'm sneezing. Now I'm updating passwords, talking to family. Listen, if I pass, here's the things you'll need to know to get all this stuff out of here and get my bank account closed. We as dudes don't talk about emotions because, especially in my age group, it was toughen up, boy, you just need to deal with it, walk it on off, which is probably why dudes treat emotional health like an oil leak in an old truck. We'll monitor it. About all we're going to do. Maybe the healthiest thing for guys is just having somebody around to hang out with. Friends, purpose, community, laughter. That's why I like comedy. I mean, for a little while, we get to sit around, relax. We don't have to pretend. We're just in there enjoying, making fun of how life really is and how weird it can get. Plus, the comedian, oddly enough, gets to be comfortable for a minute. Everything just makes sense. Even if it is for that short time, a ticket and a 2-drink minimum are cheaper than therapy. That's my take. Thanks for your time today. My name is Bud like the beer, Ford like the truck. I appreciate you subscribing to @BudFordComedy and hope you have a great day.